Hey guys, and welcome to the Igloo today. Now, I am going to be coming back to Conan Exiles, but only under the condition that, I'm not going to really be on official servers, besides, with a few other people giving me tips and tricks from the actual hardcore PvP community, or the comments down below, so that if you guys want to have something covered, I can actually cover it properly. So let's begin with this. Alright, so the new patch dropped out today, and it is a little bit of everything. What it is the pet system, but it's not the pet system. But at the same time, we get some of the things for the pet system, but they're not enabled. So it's definitely interesting. So, first of all, we are not going to have any pets on this new update. But we're able to go into and discover Jhebbal sag and then get everything that's in there. So we don't get half of the features that are in there. Then you also are able to get the claws. The claws are going to be just around 7 minutes and 33 seconds. So you're going to have just very case sensitive gloves. But at the same time, you're able to break their animation, because when you whip out the gloves for the first time, that you do your shriek, but you don't really hear the shriek. But the only way to get out of doing the animation for 3 seconds, because it's 3 seconds that you cannot do combat with those gloves. So it's a little interesting on how they kind of did it, because I think this was literally a band-aid. And as soon as you take the gloves out, you can start fighting after 3 seconds. But what you can do is that you can take the gloves out and immediately roll, so that you can be able to have a combat situation to be pretty viable, so that you can actually move instead of you dying. So that is interesting. But you don't have any of the new pet stuff. So you don't have the taming pens and a bunch of other things. And you cannot pick up the cubs. So you can't really do that. So the only thing that we get new is the new dungeon, the claws, and the Jhebbal sag helmets, and the huntress, the potion for the hunter, so you get +7 for accuracy. No, it's +8 now. And then you have the +3 elixir, so you can have up to +11 accuracy just on potions alone, on top of everything else. So with all that put together, let's look at this in a different shade of light. So because there hasn't been much stagnation, a few things that I don't agree upon this patch is that they did not shrink down the servers to their new population stats. And I know that some people would disagree with me with this, but honestly, having less official servers and then wiping the servers would actually be more of a benefit to the game, because of old values of a variety of weapons, because they still haven't wiped from 2 wipes ago for Kingslayers. You still have old value Kingslayers from old patch, and then this time, because they nerfed flawless Securian spears again, you're not going to be able to have those, but the old value ones still remain. So you have a mixture of old value stuff and then really old value stuff that are still on the databases on these official servers. Now, granted, if you were on a private server and it didn't wipe, that's a whole nother story. But here's the other thing. Then they modified some of the armor values. It's literally not even a talking matter anymore. The best armor in the game is still medium armor for most builds that are out there. But because they modified it a little bit, you equip the Silent Legion chest and then full Shaman. Without buffs, you have +10 strength now, instead of the previous 9. But when you're adding more and more into this, then you can see the extent and scope that you can actually get +15, +16 without having the Axe of the Lion. so that it can completely max it out. But then they add all the new combos as well as everything. But they still haven't changed archery, which they have promised a few times that they were going to address the archery issue with the long shot. And there's still so much in combat animations that really needs to be figured out, tested, discovered, and brought into more lights. Also, other things that have went live is that bolts are now 25k. I said this before on Test Live that I was just like, is this really going to be this low? I mean, not 25k, 25 bombs that could take out a vault now. Not 25k, because that would literally just be pathetic to see a vault have 25k. So, getting into that, it turns into such a reasonable doubt. And there's also other things they still haven't addressed, which were like server spamming like foundations everywhere. But I mean, it comes to different fruitions, to different things that you're looking at. As an official server, most servers, if you have a alpha tribe that's really, really like evil, they will literally spam the full server with foundations, and they will make sure that nobody else plays on that server. And that's still going to be an issue. From everything that I've seen, I haven't seen that many updates for that, or there's a max block limit or anything like that to disable that for alpha tribes to actually make an issue for. So getting even deeper into this, with the Jhebbal sag dungeon, and you want to have the claws, you need to have the actual flowers to get. Now, I have no problem with grinding a dungeon so that you can get a material or a certain weapon. I would rather be able to do that. That's why when we had all the Telliths, the Lambits, and the Telosaro, when that meta was very viable, like everybody was grinding the dungeon because we would think that that Blackheart was actually the best weapon in the game. But then they nerfed that, and then they changed the spear to have pretty much one of the best reaches in the game. So then it turned out that the flawless Aquilonian spear was once again king, and now since they nerfed it down to, I think it's 48 for the flawless version, the new king is, like I was mentioning beforehand, the dragon spear. The dragon spear that's just out of Dragon Bone. That's 51 damage that you can actually do for everything. So because that is the new meta for the cheapest weapon in the game compared to the flawless macaroni, I call it macaroni, you're going to be having such a conflictation because you have such a fighting factor for almost everything that you're going to be facing. And because you're not given the full content patch from PC for this patch, it is not going to really help the benefit. I mean, yeah, you get to do the new dungeon. It's pretty cool. I do like the work that they put into the new dungeon. But, I mean, it's not enough to keep a lot of people onto Conan Exiles. And the reason why I say that is that, I mean, there's not enough reward system to go around compared to other games that offer reward systems. Like, why are we maintaining this versus why we're maintaining that? Also, the other thing that's coming that we're doing right now is that we have to feed our thralls now. So because that is a optimization feature, because thralls were bogging down the servers because massive people had armies, you need to feed your thralls from a thrall pod if they're on your base. And that is very interesting and has been covered by a few other content creators on this matter, but it is really needed for you to actually now feed your thralls on top of everything else. We knew this was coming. We knew that feeding thralls was coming, and they did a lot of tweaks and everything else, but I haven't been able to test the honey yet or a few other things when it comes to this version of this patch. And it's going to be very interesting to see how people are going to play for what is the new gloves and how the combat's going to evolve and what we can see from everything else that we are seeing as of now. So I hope you guys enjoy this kind of content. I know I'm taking more of a backseat to this, but this is just me literally testing a few things out, playing for 30 minutes, and seeing what's to happen. Also, if you're doing the Midnight Grove, you can literally teleport because there's no cooldown to it. There's no decay timer for the Midnight Grove potion to get into there. So you can literally, as the same problem happened on Test Live, you can still teleport out of fights. And then you teleport again, and then you go to a map room and you're safe. Have a good one, guys.